What is going on, everybody? It's Wednesday. So it's the Wednesday show, postseason edition. With me, as always, he's got long hair. He's bearded. And you can find him on Twitter at Bonzo1273. Mike Rosano. Mike, what's going on, man?
Going on. Another season in the books. Not the way we wanted it to end. I guess you can, at least we got the win. We didn't, we lost maybe 2 draft spots, but I don't think it's going to matter. And they go out winners. You know, there's something to build on for next year. They head off, to the off season and go play some golf and take a vacation, since they've been at it since, essentially the end of July. And the rest of us are left here, watching the playoffs and watching the Steelers in the playoffs and hoping they get eliminated
right
quickly. And, on the wheel goes. So here we are.
Right. And I would say, to start off the show, there's a couple things we want to do today. We have a Victory Monday mug to give away. It will be the last one of the season because we got a victory. However, the only caveat to that is Cleveland Clothing Co. people have run out, sold out again of the Victory Monday mug. So they'll be giving the Victory Monday travel mug, which is
they own it. It's nice. The
brown version. Yeah. It's for anybody out there who doesn't have it, or if anybody has the orange mug who wants to now get the second mug, you're in luck. We're going to be doing that. Also, we will be doing our first mock draft of the season. And at this, and Mike and I will be acting as John D. Podesta and Andrew Barry, and we'll have to decide who is who, as we go through the mock draft. We're going to do the virtual mock draft with PFF, which anybody can do, I think, for free, but we happen to be premium members, so I'm sure that does something. And the other thing too, there's a couple things that we want to address, or I want to address at least, in terms of some of the stuff on Twitter, some negativity on Twitter that has gone on this week. That I just figure why not address it, and I'll kind of talk through my thoughts. Because I think everybody here in Brownie Postgame knows really who I am, and that sometimes I get emotional, right, as we all do from time to time, and sometimes I let the local Cleveland media people know how I feel. So. Before that, though, Browns fan 1977, Chubbawamba Hub 24, Ryan Burlow, Wolfstam, what's going on? Steve T is here. Who else we got in the house? We've got Cruz Op, Jackie 5, Ray, Mike R, premium member Mike R, Xander Hernandez. Xander. Everybody, we happen to be here. Thank you very much for hanging out with us and being here and waiting. Early at being there before we went live. Appreciate you all. And I'll tell you what, Mike, I think what we should do is we should very early. We'll do the Victory Monday mug early to give everybody, who's here. Oh, David Smith is here. Tyrone's here. All right. I see you guys. Utah's here. Love them cookies. Everybody who's here, let's give them a chance to get it. Now, first things first though. Okay. So as you guys have seen, or you may have seen, I don't know if you guys are on Twitter or not. I would assume you are. I'll tell you, I want to first preface this by I don't consider myself a Baker lover or a Baker stan guy, right?
Now, I'll interject for 1 second.
Okay.
I think you've started creeping that way on the outside looking in, but continue.
Right, and that's why I wanted to address this. That's why I wanted to address it. Because anybody who's here locally or who joins the Brownie postgame stuff knows that I'm very pragmatic about Baker and about the situation, right? I am, okay? And Mike, you and I talk privately as well. And I'm very open about my feelings towards the quarterback play. And a lot of that is emotional reaction to what I'm seeing, right? So I will say that. Now, I also want to add on top of that I personally feel it's almost like, you can criticize a member of your family, but other people can't criticize members of your family. You know what I mean? You know that kind of like saying, like, if like I can say I can be critical, but I don't want other people coming in there and talking trash about members of my family. It's like a feeling, right? And I feel that there is a narrative that has been built by the local Cleveland media, whether it's to get clicks, to get noticed. If it's Tony, if it's Mary Kay, who, when she comes up with these stories and when this narrative is published, it gets a reaction out of a lot of people, the fans, the other national media people, or other people that are paying attention to Cleveland sports, and even the players themselves. And what happened this over the last week, since the end game till now, is Mary Kay wrote the article about Baker. There's the requesting a trade. There was all this, that, and the other thing, creating drama, and then he responded. And then other Cleveland media people responded as well, and blah, 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 blah. I personally feel, and this may not be right, so I'm not forcing this opinion on anybody else. I'm not saying, Mike, well, you have to back him. Like, not at all. Everybody has their own opinions about things, but I will tell you this. I feel that if you are not going to be a fan, and if you're just going to cover the team, then you need to cover the team from a neutral standpoint. Meaning like Ian Rappaport. Do you think Ian Rappaport gives two craps about like the inner workings of the Browns? He's just reporting on what's happening with the Browns. Or Adam Schefter, right? These are neutral bodies that are looking at what's happening with Cleveland, and they're reporting the news that happens. These reporters, these radio people, these writers, what they're doing is they are creating the story, and they're almost injecting themselves into the story. Which, and in all, you know what? They might even be right. There might even been some people that were some of the players that were kind of rumbling about being unhappy about this or that, the Odell situation, Baker himself, Baker playing, Baker not playing, blah, blah, blah. There's all this stuff, all these things that go around. But then you have other players like Nick Chubb, like Wyatt Teller, players like that are coming out. Like, I mean, in not in a direct way, but in a roundabout way, David Njoku, they're coming out and supporting Baker and saying, this is whatever, this is our guy, and hope he comes back and hope he's healthy again, and not bashing him. And they're looking for that. So when I see these people, these reporters, these radio people, whomever, these blue checkmark people that are going after and creating this narrative and starting to leverage anonymous sources or where I'm starting to hear, that could be a lot. That could be, Mike, that could be the same sources that you have. It could be somebody that's connected to the team. It could be somebody that's connected like with one person away from the team. Who knows? Right. And that, I think, is the thing that I find very annoying. I feel like we have earned the right to criticize the players. We have earned the right to criticize the team or do whatnot. Me personally, I think, Mike, you and I are both very equally emotionally tied to the team, but you are even more financially, right, tied to the team with the trips that you take, with your season passes that you renew every year. Right. So I feel like when we get negative towards the players or towards the team, it's out of emotion, and it's not with another agenda in mind. Right. It's not for personal gain. Whereas these reporters are doing it for personal gain. They're drumming it up, and they're playing to those haters out there. And I think if you look at it, and I don't have this factual information or not, but I do believe that there are more people that would like to remain positive than not. Okay, that being said, I think everybody has the right to be critical. I think everybody has the right to say one way or another. Now, on Twitter, I lean more towards the positivity around the Browns. I do. Like when I'm writing and I'm on Twitter, I'm in a different mental state than when I'm here speaking to the audience. And typically when I'm speaking to the audience, it's either right before or right after a game, which changes my emotional state, right? But I think all in all, if you guys, I think for the people that are here, for the audience that is here, the people who listen, people listen to the podcast, people who listen here live when we do the shows or the VODs, they know kind of where my mind is and where my heart is when it comes to basically any of the players that are out there or any of the situations that arise. So that being said, I don't know if that answers, if that leads to any question, or if anybody really cares. I just wanted to put it out there. I think some of these media people are building a narrative, and they're doing it for a very negative reason, and they have self-interest at heart, and I find that to be annoying. So again, I'm not Brownie postgame, a YouTube guy. Mike, fan of the Browns guy, is saying I find that annoying, and I don't appreciate that coming from these people who should be journalists, people who should be neutral as opposed to fans. And my last point, I do think there are very excellent people in the Cleveland local media. I think, and I've named them before. I think Hayden Grove and Ken Carman and Cameron Justice, and there are a lot of really good people in the Cleveland media. So when I say the media, I don't mean to bring it all in, but I mean the guys out there, the Tonys, the MKC, the Daryl Ryder, this Emmett guy. I mean, all of them are hopping on this negativity train, and it bothers me. And so I like to hold them accountable. I have a little bit of a following as well. And I think that I have every right to give them my opinion, just like they have every right to, issue their opinion. So that's all I'll say about it. I don't know if anybody's watching closely, if anybody really gives a crap, but that's kind of how I feel about that. Mike, any thoughts? We can move on from it if not.
No, I don't have anything to add there. They all have a job to do, and some of them do it a certain way, and others do it a different way. And I agree with with your point of we've got some new blood, and they've been doing a great job. But at the same time, I think I mentioned it might have been last week, once upon a time, the Mary Kays and the Tony Grossies of the world were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to go and start their career. And as they progress and they start establishing themselves in that scene, and they start gaining some inside knowledge. And what I mean by that is they've got people on the inside, and they're easily able to get people again on the inside after one regime may go, and they lose that connection. And they do what they do, and they say what they say, because at the end of the day they've got to get clicks, and because clicks equals money. And I guess the point being is maybe it eventually down the line these newer people won't be a carbon copy, because I mean, if you think about it, it can't be easy being a beat writer for this team for all these years with just nothing to talk about. So we'll see. I think that and to be honest with you, I don't personally, they come out with stuff, and my thing with Mary Kay, and everybody knows at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really say anything bad at that point. I just questioned something, and I thought that was going to be the end of it. And she jumped in my DMs, and we were just having a nice little conversation, and then blocked me. I didn't do anything wrong. I have the receipts, and I've showed them on Twitter 1,000 times. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, they're going to do what they do, and we'll do what we want to do as fans, and whether we choose to click on their story and read it or not. And I mean, that's the wheel goes round and round and round, and it is what it is.
Yeah. And I think for anybody out there who kind of shares my sentiment, I think the only way to make a change is to support either independent content creators like us, who, if you like what we do, or guys like Quincy, who's awesome. Or I mean, if he floats your boat, guys like Sir Yacht. I mean, there are independent content creators that are talking about the same stuff that these guys are getting paid to do as well. So if you are sick of that level of negativity and all that kind of stuff, support other people, or support some of the new blood that's out there that didn't live through, the Romeo Crennel, Mike Pettin, Chudzinski, the era of darkness that was over the last like 20 years, right? Some new of the people coming in. All right, let's do the mug giveaway because we got like 30 or so in here right now as we're kind of just getting kicked off. Let's do 1 to 100 in chat now for the mug, and this again is the travel mug. So enter one number, and I will put in my number now. My number's in. So when we'll continue chatting along. So another thing too, I think most people are currently at this point somewhat moving forward to the draft and to what's happening next, right? I've noticed some interesting stuff out there. Again, the Deshaun Watson conversation continues to circle around Brown's Twitter as well. There's some controversy today with fellow YouTuber Garrett Bush who went out there and put a poll up, and people lost their mind about the poll. That he didn't talk about all the controversy with the women and everything like that. Everybody knows about the controversy with the women. I will defend Garrett on that. Like, he doesn't have to say that. He was just throwing a poll. Like, would you want to trade Baker for Deshaun Watson if we could do it? Blah, blah, blah. And people like lost their mind about it. Did you happen to catch that, Mike?
I did, but there's so much craziness that's going on. I try and I want to believe that I'm getting a little bit more mature, if that's possible at my age, and I've been just swiping by, but I did see it, and and not for you to lose your thought, but I think the mantra of the show for me is the wheel goes round and round, because this is another example. I mean, you have essentially what that poll was somebody that put a poll together, just happened to be, Garrett Bush, but could be Joe Blow, puts a poll together, puts 3 options on there, and you're always going to have somebody that scrolls by and says, well, this is stupid. Why'd you leave off the 4th option? And then the next thing you know, you're all fighting over stupid stuff, and you don't even know what you're arguing about. And it comes back to, people will just complain and argue about anything. And to me, that was a prime example. But
yeah, and that's the interesting thing. You make a good point. I really look at Twitter and really everything as it relates to sports. They are opinions, they are feelings. You're never going to fully win an argument. You really aren't. Even if you get 1,000 likes and they only get 5, where it's like, well, see, ratio, everybody's with me. It doesn't even honestly feel good to win arguments a lot of times on Twitter. It's just kind of like, well, this is what it is. And if you think I'm being a dick about it, then I actually might be. It's very, very easily, or somebody might be doing it. But there's no winning when you get into sharing your opinions, and because not everybody's going to agree with you, and that's okay as well, right? Yeah. I think you could do it in a civil way, and I think that everybody has the right to get pissed off every once in a while as well, and kind of share that. I mean, and then you can have fun with it too. Look at McNeil today going after Ice-T. Like,
I saw your tweet, and I didn't realize. I'm sure you're referring to the one where he was in his car and it was 18 degrees and a little snowflake next to it, and I would have never known. Like I now when you're talking about it, I'm like, oh, so now you need to tell me and all of us what happened with McNeil and that tweet, because I saw what you said, and then I saw Ice-T's tweet earlier in the morning, but I never saw, whatever it was that
I don't think it was
reflogged it.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything huge. I think it was just Ice-T made a tweet that just had a picture of what the weather was. Yep. And then for whatever reason, McNeil drops a meme, You know, we don't need pictures of your dashboard. We know it's cold. It's January. No one cares. Iced tea. Like right out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't see it.
And I think for the vast majority of people on Twitter, he would have just ignored it, or it wouldn't even come to his attention. But the fact that McNeil is also a verified checkmark person, and there's almost like a class. It's like a social class on Twitter that if verified people are going to talk, they're going to talk back to other verified people well before they're going to talk to a regular person who's not verified, for many different reasons. But he saw that, and I think that with his with the amount of response that he got, I mean, it got 22 retweets, 6 quoted, and over 1,000 likes on his meme response. And then Ice-T, I guess, got pissed and said, "Looks like you went to a lot of trouble to get noticed, dumb F. Congratulations."
Oh, okay.
And then
Interesting.
And then he kind of just, was looking at it and going back and forth. Either way, it was funny. I thought it was great. And I don't think Ice-T is really all that pissed at him. But I think McNeil did kind of own him a little bit.
That's pretty funny.
It was pretty good. Yeah. So I don't know. I think you could have fun. And I was actually this morning, I was dropping off my daughter to school. I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I got to be more positive. I think people are going to start thinking I'm like a real dick. But
you went on a rant today where I was like, oh man, he's I'm gonna have to get a fishing pole and reel you back
Bring me back in. Yeah. I mean, it's like when you get, remember when JW unfollowed you, and then he was like, you were getting a little negative out there. It's like everyone's
true story.
Yeah.
But he came back.
He came back, right? But and that's the thing. Like you can get, but it wasn't like you were being negative towards him, right? He just like randomly saw your tweets.
I was on I might have been on a Baker rant for I cannot confirm nor deny that it wasn't about the time that the Cheesecake Factory was out there. So
okay.
we'll just leave it at that.
So yeah, I mean, it's everyone's, and I was dropping on my daughter and I was like, you know what, I'm going to type out a tweet, be like, you know what, I've been pretty negative. I need to start getting a little bit more positive here, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw that guy and I was like, one more negative one, just one more.
Yeah. More. I mean, you were on, like, I pictured you like Danny DeVito as the Penguin, like just running around town with the umbrella and just mad tweeting at everybody.
Yeah. I was, the thing is, like, my level of anger always comes across much more in those tweets than it actually is. I usually am sitting there and I'm like, this would be interesting. And I tweet it out and then I go, and then I put my Twitter away, and then I wait for, like, then I'll look at it like a half hour later, an hour later, or today where, like, you tweeted back, you sent me a text message like with the guy's response, and I'm like, I honestly hadn't even seen it. I was like, I don't care what he says.
Well, once you blocked him, and that, but
I didn't block him. I just unfollowed him.
Or you unfollowed him, or I just got bits and pieces. So it was like, that was the start of Angry Mike, not me. And then it sort of, and I mean, it didn't take on a life to where it was, a threat of.
No, it didn't go nuclear or anything.
Yeah. It was just like a 15, 20 deep thread. And it was kind of funny, actually, because you said what you said. And then, you have the people that come in and they're like, hey, why are you saying that? You shouldn't have said that. And then he came back in for sympathy and was like, thank you for saying that. And so it was,
I know, like, he wouldn't let it go either. I was like, I'm done with it. But he kept, like, coming back to it and responding to people. And I'm like, all right, dude, like, that's where I responded. I was like, I've said what I said. I don't have to take it any further. I think I got it off my chest what I wanted to say to the guy. And I was like, okay, you do you, man. Like, I don't have any animosity. I'm not upset with him. I think the tweet that he put out saying Browns fans, classifying that one guy who had something that could vaguely be interpreted as something threatening.
But
Vaguely.
you know what's funny? I think that was a typical case of, you know, the typical lost in translation, whether it's just a straight text message or just a tweet in this regard. But I think really that's what happened, because when you break it down, and I wasn't even thinking about this when it went down, you just made me critically think here for a second. But you were responding to the fact that you had that one scummer guy that made that comment, and then he said Browns fans, and then your comment basically was just saying, without saying it, hey, just because this guy's being a scummer doesn't mean that you have to lump all of us into it.
It's exactly what my point was.
And now in hindsight, thinking back, it was just totally lost in translation all across the board. Because I'll be honest, I didn't get it like that when it first happened. Now, when you just said what you said, it triggered something, and now I understand why, you know, your response was as it was. And again, the wheel goes round and round.
Yeah. I mean, that really was what I was trying to say. It's like, you don't paint all Browns fans to be like one guy. When I first read what the guy said, so just to give everybody context, I don't know. The guy said, the Emmett guy said something about something about the Browns. I don't even remember what it was. And then some guy said, you know, be careful, you might find yourself in Lake Erie or something like that, which I don't even know. I mean, to be honest, I was thinking with the Lake Erie thing, like you'd be swimming in Lake Erie. It was like Hugh Jackson, like from the losing season, like taking an L and like having to swim in Lake Erie. But
that's the other thing. Like, again, lost in translation. It could have meant nothing. Different things.
Yeah.
Right.
And I that was my if I was actually going to go, I didn't really want to go down that because I didn't want to defend the guy because he might have actually been threatening him. I don't know. But right. I mean, the bottom line, instead of like coming out and tweeting that out to I don't know, the guy's got thousands of followers. Instead of tweeting it out and putting this guy on blast, just ask him, be like, hey, are you threatening me? Is that a threatening comment? I don't want to misinterpret this. And the guy probably would have responded and be like, no, that's not what I meant. Or he would have been like, yeah, I'm threatening you. I don't know. But like, to do that. And then he painted all Browns fans like that. And I was like, that's not fair. Browns fans are passionate, and there are the Baker stands out there, and probably people who see me on Twitter think I'm a Baker stan because of some things I've said. I don't know. I'm very emotional when it comes to this team. But I am pragmatic as well. I don't think Baker had the greatest season in the world. And I think that he's got a lot to prove. And I get annoyed with some of the stuff that the Mayfields do, Baker and Emily, some of the stuff that they do together. And I think a lot of people share those feelings. So it's not, for me, in my heart, I will be honest to 100% everybody, it's not black and white with me. It's not like I'm either in love with Baker and love everything he does or hate him 100%. I can look at it and see both sides of it. I have appreciation for what he's done, but I also have, I also see how he's played. I'm like, it's not really the best play, as well. So it's a mixed bag. Anyway, real quick before we do this, yeah. Because I don't want these numbers to go away, and when I scroll back in chat, gotcha. my number was, I have to enter on this. My number was 21 for the mug, which is the year 21. It was also Denzel Ward, so whatever, it fits in there. Year 21's in the books, and I think Ben Ratty had a 24. Tim Zahler had a 24.
Oh, we have to have a mug off.
We have a mug off.
We have a mug off.
We've got a mug off. Ben Ratty and
I'll tell you what, I have a number in my head. They could throw some numbers in there. The two of them, one number, and we could end it.
Mike, why don't you, since you're one of the green labeled fans,
you're a premium member.
You can, why don't you pick the number? So let me put it in chat here. So Tim is here. He said I said it first, and Ben's there too. Okay, the mug off. All right, so Tim and Ben, put your number in now. 1 to 100. Closest wins. Should I do like closest? I'll just do closest wins, not without going over. Mike is going to be the one who's going to put the number in.
Yes.
Put in your number, Tim and Ben. It doesn't matter who goes first. It just matters who gets closest.
I've waited 17 weeks to do this.
Yes, this is actually Mike's first number that he gets to throw in there. Well, I can't wait. Like, all right, we got the first number is 12. Tim's going with 12, and Ben's 51. All right, if it's in the middle, we're gonna have to do math. If it's over 51, Tim wins. If it's under 12, I'm sorry, if it's over 51, Ben wins. If it's under 12, Tim wins. Mike, number, please hit enter.
And I don't even know why I picked this number. I just did.
The number is, there's a delay, like a chat delay of a couple seconds.
It's coming.
The number 5, Tim is the winner. He went with the short side of the field with 12. Now, what Ben could have done was he could have waited for Tim to put in 12, and Ben could have put 13 and just taken basically the whole board. But he still would have lost because Mike went with the under.
It's like Price is Right. You go over and want.
Mike went with the under and Tim takes it.
I don't know why five popped in my mind.
Was it a Jeff Garcia thing, maybe?
No, it was just a 5. It just came to me. It was like a sign from somewhere. I guess. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Tim, you win the mug. Tim, send me an email at browniepostgame@gmail.com, browniepostgame@gmail.com. Very easy. With your address, just name and address. I would assume it's Tim Zoller, or Zahler. I don't know how you pronounce it. But send me your name and address, and we'll get that over to the good folks at Cleveland Clothing Co. We could probably, I'll tell you what, since Ben came in second, Ben, send me an email with your name, address, and size, and I'll get you a t-shirt out from Sabo Apparel.
Nice.
So you both win. Congratulations.
Double winners tonight.
Double winners. Just send me an email, browniepostgame@gmail.com. Ben, send me your size, t-shirt size, and address. And Tim, send me your address. Tim gets the mug, and Ben gets the t-shirt from Sabo. And we'll pick one out of random. Everybody wins.
Hey,
okay.
And before, so before we dive into our excitement, I just wanted to throw something out there, and this sort of goes with the theme of what's been going on, throughout Twitter for weeks. But you've got pro Baker, anti Baker, and it seems like there is no in between, and there is in between, but those in between just don't really talk about it. And you want the guy to do good. He's your quarterback for the foreseeable future. We'll see. But, everybody has a right to be critical right now and not just, rest on the fact that he was injured, because it went beyond physical traits. It creeped into the mental aspect of being able to read a defense and see guys right in front of you, etc. But with that being said, we've said it on this show a million times, and on the pre and the post game show. I think have said it collectively, but speaking for myself, I do believe that they're going to run it back next year, and we're going to see what happens, right?
Yep.
I truly believe that. But at the same time, I think that then you have the other group. So you always have, it's peculiar because you always have, at each one of those groups, right? It's always hanging on to a tweet or somebody saying something, i.e. Andrew Berry. So you got the negative reports that come out, and then, the negative Baker people are boom all over that. And then, AB comes out and he says what he says the other day. And then everybody is, then they're on top of that. See, AB said this, and there's no way, he's not a liar, yada, yada, yada. Okay, Here's the thing. If AB went back on what he said the other day, nobody is going to think that he's a liar, except for the people that are really excited about being on one side or the other. Because he's a businessman above all else. So even if the plan was for Baker to start next year and run it back, then he would say so. And if that wasn't the plan, or there was some skepticism in the plan, he would still say the same thing because A, he's under contract, and B, as we all know in business, you're never going to have a product, and you're even if that product is a POS, you're always going to talk the product up, because if you want to unload the product, you're going to have to sell it. So if you come out and tell me why the product sucks, there's no way that you're ever going to be able to sell it to me down the line, right? Sure. So do I think that it's going to be Baker next year? Yeah, I would probably say 90% that it is. However, as the GM of the Browns, he is going to look under every rock and he's going to kick every tire, because that's his job and it's his livelihood. So if he thinks that there is somebody out there, and again, I mean, we're not even at the first week of the playoffs. So, so many things are going to change. Guys that we think are available now are not going to be available, and guys that you would have never thought in a million years to be possible might be on the trade block or available. So, it's way early in the game, and anything can change. If something or somebody is out there that they have their eye on and they think can do a better job, and it fits the budget and it fits what they're looking for, it doesn't matter what AB said on January 10th, 2022. That's irrelevant. He's looking out for the best interest of the Cleveland Browns. And again, I do believe that we're going to run it back again, but I just chuckle when I see all that going on Twitter, because that's just not how business works, and that's what this is. And he is a businessman first and foremost, and he is going to do whatever is best for the Cleveland Browns. And if that means that Kirk Cousins becomes available, and it'll cost you a 2 and some salary, and they're into that, they may do it. But it remains to be seen. And again, I think it's Baker. But the point being is, just because somebody says something, no matter who they are, doesn't mean that they're a liar. How many times did your dad tell you to go do something and you didn't do it, and there was a reason behind it and it worked out for the better? Was he a liar? No, he was just looking out for your best interest, the same way as AB is looking out for the best interest of the Browns.
Yeah. No,
I digress.
I think you're 100% right. I mean, it's professional sports. It's a $1 billion industry with $1 billion teams talking about making multi-million-dollar decisions that go well beyond just the play on the field, or well beyond the merchandise that we buy. These are big decisions. And while we'd love for whatever public thing they come out publicly and say to be the gospel truth that never changes, you know what? People change their mind. New opportunities present themselves, and they're getting paid a lot of money to do a very difficult job of making decisions that they're going to analyze when they come up. If Aaron Rodgers somehow becomes available, becomes somewhat of an option to the Browns, they're going to talk about that. Think about the New York Giants. They said they weren't going to trade Odell. They signed him to a long-term contract, and a couple weeks later, he's gone.
Things change.
Things change. Opportunities present themselves. Say, look, we'll throw you an above-average guard and a young safety and a draft pick. You want to get rid of him, right? So like there just are things, and this is now we're getting more towards draft season. And I think, as we've talked about before, about the Deshaun Watson situation, about all the different quarterbacks out there. Actually, on that, I don't know if you caught this on the Browns Spaces, or the Twitter space discussion where I can't remember who it was who actually said it, but it was an interesting take of, John Dorsey's going to land with the Giants and then
I saw that.
go after trying to grab Baker.
Yeah.
I thought it was,
With
hey,
Freddie as coach.
with Freddie's to be honest, like, it's interesting. I don't think it'll happen, but like, hey, stranger things have happened. And I do think Dorsey is a believer in Baker. I don't think he'd run it back necessarily with Freddie, but I think Baker is definitely his guy. But stranger things have happened. I think just to put the Deshaun Watson thing to rest, there's so many complexities with it.
Yeah, it's not happening.
There's so many complexities that beyond the no trade clause that he happens to have, the legal side of it. And on top of it, no matter what, Mike, no matter if he is cleared, if he is cleared and whatnot, or whatever the case may be, he's looking at a suspension because of the conduct policy, right? So even if he does, now he might appeal that, the players' union might go after him for whatever, but if we're talking about stuff that has to do with women in the NFL, they don't want anything to do with it. And Deshaun Watson, as good as he is not above, the PR of the league. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, I agree. And what I find interesting too, and just we don't have to chat about it. It just came to mind, but it's interesting because we've gone through 17 weeks of the season, right? And if you remember last year, he wanted to force the trade, and then the allegations came out, and then Houston decided
22 allegations,
and then Houston, decided to scratch him every week. But what I find interesting, and maybe it's because I'm not up on it, and I don't look for it, and maybe I will for next week, but I just find it interesting that, 17 weeks that's a lot of weeks, right?
Do they have to pay him for those weeks that he's?
They do. Yeah, they do. And I don't. Have you heard anything in the news about any movement on anything related to those?
Yeah,
because I have not.
No. I haven't heard anything as it relates to the accusations or where it stands legally. I don't know, but I did read something that they are looking to move him before March 16th.
And then, so if they do, we haven't seen any traction on any of the legal stuff in 17 weeks. So what makes us think that now all of a sudden, like it's going to start moving? I don't know. It's just, for me, I don't think he's coming at all. And I've heard that from different people. And quite honestly, there's enough drama going around on, I won't even name who, why, or where. We all know. And I have to tell you, from a selfish standpoint of me, I can't do it anymore. I can't. I need the least drama that we can get. And Bonzo agrees with me. He just barked in agreement.
Dog
and
check.
Exactly. And so I know that if he were to come, let me tell you, it would be a total 180 of everything that I've heard, and it's from reliable people. So we'll
I believe that too. I don't think you can take a guy who's had those type of accusations unless his name is 100% cleared and those women come out and said, we lied. We made it all up.
Right.
And they clear his name. If they do that, that's a different story. I don't see that happening. But there's no way that, what is it, smart, tough, accountable, that, as we talked about, smart, Kevin Stefanski's mantra does not fit with Deshaun Watson.
No.
And, Kevin Stefanski, Catholic, family guy, like with daughters and stuff. Like, I don't see him looking and wanting to bring in a Deshaun Watson. And to be honest, I don't think Stefanski's at the point yet, although he had a down season. I think there's enough excuses that were built into that could justify the team going, hey, it's fine. We still have our guy. We're not looking to move off of Stefanski. And he's not desperate enough to make that move yet.
No, and obviously I watched film during the year. This year was a little bit tougher because of the way the NFL.com had it formatted. You couldn't watch it on the app anymore, and unless you had the international version, it kept restarting, and it was frustrating to say the least. But the past couple of weeks, I did go back and I've watched a lot of games, and just from the offensive side of the ball, because I know we'd be talking about it and whatnot. And I'll be the first to admit, I was out there as well, banging on the table for, let's see what AVP can do, in regards to play calling. I'll admit it. I wanted to see, the same thing. But what I found, and I knew to an extent what I'm about to say was out there, but I didn't really dive in and watch the tape the way that I did in the past couple of weeks to tell you that Stefanski's play calling, in terms of, now, if you want to argue, well, why is he running there and why is he passing here or whatever, okay, fine. Sometimes here and there, it was, maybe he should have called a different play. But again, we always go back to last year, and last year was a different animal in terms of no crowd noise. So with no crowd noise, there's really no momentum, and there's no angst, right? Like there's nothing to be anxious about when you're trying to figure out what to do, because the crowd's driving you one way or the other. And so this was sort of a learning experience for him. And I think going forward, we'll see him call even better games from a, should we run here, should we pass here standpoint. But what I do want to say is that from a pure scheming guys open, mm-hmm. in this offense, in the pass game, there were guys open all day long. Now, of course, are there plays where nobody's open? Sure. I mean, you could go put on Tampa Bay's tape, Green Bay's tape, and you'll find plays where it just didn't work. The coverage was just that good and there was nowhere to go. But when you go back and you look at 6-7 weeks of our offense, we had guys open. And I mean, some guys wide open. And for whatever reason, and I think a lot of us know why, Baker just didn't see him, missed him. And the open receiver is sort of like a microcosm of the whole season, because they were there. If you had a Kirk Cousins, let's say, because we just continue to bring him up, or we had I'll make you laugh. I would go out on a limb, right, and say that if Taylor Heineke was the quarterback in Cleveland this year, they would have made the playoffs.
Well, interestingly, in the mock draft that we're about to do, Minnesota drafts right ahead of us, and Minnesota got rid of their head coach. So it's not beyond, and I could reach out to the Lupica guy, the guy who I was on the Vikings podcast, the Vikings YouTube channel, and say, are you guys thinking about moving off of Kirk? Is that a possibility or not? Because it could, but I got to tell you, if we made a play for Kirk Cousins, right? If we made a play for Kirk Cousins, we're not bringing in Kirk Cousins to compete with Baker. Like, that's not how, if we're going to bring in somebody to compete, it'd be like Daniel Jones, right? Somebody who, like, it would truly be a competitive situation. Kirk Cousins would have to be the named starter day one. And that's really, like, I don't think he'd be walking into a situation where he's like, I want to earn my way back on the field.
And I think, to your point, with them drafting ahead of us, I think one spot or whatever, realistically, like, something crazy would have to happen to where Kirk Cousins landed in Cleveland. I personally believe, because if Sam Darnold got a 1, right, there's no way that, they would say, okay, you give us Baker, we'll swap draft pick, one spot, give us a 2 and a 3, and you got to take the contract. I don't see it there.
Yeah.
If they get rid of him, they are going to want R1 this year, and they're probably going to want something for next year, along with the other stuff, obviously.
Which
in
for
this
us,
year,
and for us, it'd be crazy because let's like what's the alternative? We run it back with Baker this year. We draft a stud wide receiver at 13, and then we just go and make a pitch to Kirk next year and say, Kirk, you know, if it doesn't work out with Baker, Kirk, come on over. Like, we've got receivers, we've got an offensive line, we've got running backs, we've got tight ends, and we've got your old coach, and it's plug and play, buddy. It's a major upgrade from you from Washington, a major upgrade from Minnesota. It's plug and play. You're ready. You know the offense. You know all the stuff. We're giving you better weapons. We'll pay you similar money, and that's it. And it doesn't cost us any draft capital. It wouldn't make sense for us to do that unless they are selling. Unless they're selling Kirk Cousins like Detroit sold Jared Goff.
Yeah, it would have to be. Yeah, I agree.
Or not Detroit, but
I know what you're saying.
The Rams sold.
LA,
we're just like, get rid of Goff. We want out, and we'll make a deal we'll give you a billion draft picks, and just please, for God, take Goff.
Yeah.
So
I don't see it. I mean, and I said it in the chat, if you look at Cousins' statistics this year, I mean, there's no reason with our defense why we wouldn't be the 2 seed in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
with Kirk Cousins and you know, in his stats. But
I mean, he put over 4,000 yards, over 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Seven. He didn't even get the double digits. I mean, Baker had 7 in 3 quarters.
Right. So it's like, if you've got a guy who's protecting the ball and who can throw and who can hit guys, and you give him a great offensive line, and you give him great running backs. Now, I will say the only caveat to the offensive line is the offensive line on paper, healthy in a vacuum, is fantastic. The offensive line that we got for the vast majority of the season was either really dinged up. When we had all 5 guys out there, like our true starting 5, they were dinged, mostly mostly at the tackle spots, right? So it's a little bit disingenuous for everybody to go out there and be like, Cleveland's got such an elite offensive line. I think we have really good offensive linemen, but you know, nonetheless, backups are backups for a reason. And although I did take a peek at the PFF, and it looks like Hudson had against Cincinnati at least.
He played really well.
So I mean, you put Hudson up against TJ Watt, he's not going to play well. But not a lot of. I mean, what rookie offensive lineman is going to play well against TJ Watt in a game that he's motivated to go out and sell, right? Anyway, let's go ahead and hop in. Let's hop into the draft simulator.
And you know what? Before you get the simulator going, I just want to throw out this little tidbit.
Okay.
I really so, and I'm interested to see what we get right now when we go through this mock, because I haven't gotten crazy and gone past 1 round, but I've been mock drafting like a.
That's what I think we do 2 rounds, because
2 rounds is good.
2 rounds is it, and we'll mark what we get. And for today, I'll let you finish your thought.
No. So quickly. So I have not encountered a draft, and I say that, and now it'll probably happen. I have not encountered a draft yet that a receiver went before our pick ever, and I mean that. Like, I've never had to make a decision between, you know, the next 3, right?
Yes, yeah. Which is like kind of amazing, but there's a reason for that. But it doesn't mean that somebody wouldn't, like, I don't know, God knows, you know, New England decides they need to sell out and move up to 11.
Or like even like Atlanta with the Ridley situation. I mean,
right.
They could be in business to look for a weapon for Matt Ryan, because they did say that he was coming back. But just to button up what my little rant there, the thing that is really depressing to me is that national championship game, I think, took away our pick, because I really feel that Jameson was going to be the pick at 13 should he, or if he was still on the board at that time. I think he fits exactly what they are looking for. Tracks the deep balls a little bit better than some of the other guys, and I really like Garrett Wilson. But then when you look at Garrett Wilson isn't a boundary type of guy, right? Garrett Wilson is more of a slot type receiver. So I go back and forth there, and then I get up and I start comparing everybody, and then I look and I go, maybe Chris Olave is the most obvious one. He's the same size. His speed is very close. I mean, Jameson runs like a 4.33, I believe, and I think
Jameson Williams, pre ACL was 4.29.
Okay, 4.29. So I know that Olave is like a 4.3 something. But the thing about Olave that I really like is he's sort of like the whole package. He's consistent. He's got the hands. He's smart. His route running is impeccable. He can go and track the deep ball. So they're going to have their hands full, I think, trying to figure out who it's going to be if they're going to go receiver. I mean, we have to think that that's what they're going to do, but stranger things have happened, as we all know. But what I do find interesting, and you wonder, is somebody going to take a flyer on? I mean, NACL is like, tearing off your big toe anymore, your toenail. Like, you go through a rehab, and then the next thing you know, you're still as fast, you can still cut. And especially when you're young like that. I think we talked about it on the show a little while ago, with Willis McGahee as opposed to Nick Chubb, and where they were in terms of medical, the breakthroughs since. But I also worry, and I was talking to somebody today, like that is like the perfect drop to like Pittsburgh taking a flyer, down at like 18, 19, 20 on.
They have to go quarterback.
But who? I don't know. Well, and in all the mock drafts, Mike, and we'll see, it's interesting. They've been taking linemen in all the mock drafts that I have done. The Steelers have taken a lineman.
So we had a super chat that came in. I don't know if it was shown or not, but Larry Kirk comes in. Do we take a quarterback in this draft? And what round do you guys think? I think a quarterback option is on the table. I think so. I mean, but I don't think it's in the first 4 rounds.
No, I don't either. I think, unless there's somebody that they've fallen in love with. Again, the kicking the tires, the looking under the rocks. If there's a guy that they think is their franchise, could be their franchise quarterback for the next 10 years. If Kenny
Pickett falls to the second round, if he falls to the second round,
the first.
Yeah, it's like if like Kenny Pickett falls to the second round, or like Matt Corral's there in the 4th.
Yeah, and I think that, if one of these guys, and I highly doubt it, but if one of those guys is in their eyes the guy for the franchise for the next 10 years, then we know that, they just go and get that. And that's not just the Browns, that's any team. So, could there be a crazy surprise like that? Could, but I doubt it.
Yeah. No, I agree, Larry. So I think a quarterback probably is coming, but you got to look at it and go, who was the guy that started that one game when everybody was out, for the COVID game? Who's the quarterback that we? Yeah,
Nick Mullins.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do we? Unless we feel like the ceiling is higher than Nick Mullins has shown, because Case Keenum is, for all intents and purposes, going to be back, or unless we feel like we're going to move off of Baker, and I don't think we are. So if a quarterback comes, it'll come in the 5th or 6th. I mean, go out there and get that Stanford guy who's like a 6'5", 250 or whatever the heck he is. You know, go get something that could be a project. Is what I'd be interested in if you're going to waste a pick on it, right? But honestly, I think there's more pride. I'd rather them draft a kicker than draft a quarterback, right? So, okay. So let's get into it. So I've set the speed. Let's go 2 rounds. I set the speed to slow. Mike, have you done this on PFF or have you done it somewhere else?
No, I did it. Usually I do it on the Draft Network, but
okay, yeah.
But when you mentioned to me that we'd be doing it on here, I did a few mock draft simulators.
Did you just go fast speed?
Yeah, it was just regular. If you set it to regular, it just okay.
I was thinking we go slow so then we could like talk about the picks as they're going, like, and just be like, okay, well that's
yeah,
fine.
You could do that.
Well, let's go really slow.
I didn't have the little slider on the computer on the phone. Rather, it was just regular or not. So
yeah, I wonder. I mean, I don't want to go like so slow that we can't like go. Like, I don't want it to be like 10 minutes a pick, right? So like,
right.
But I don't know how fast this is going to go. I do want to discuss the picks, so let's go really slow. If we have to restart it, we'll restart it. We're doing this in real time, guys. Okay, so here we go. Let's go.
Oh, who are you and who am I?
Oh yeah, good point. Okay, so what I was thinking is,
yep.
I was thinking you could be AB in this draft.
Okay.
Okay, you go with AB, and I'll be deep. I'll be Depot, or Kev, or whomever else is going to be in that discussion, right? It's definitely going to be Depot, and Kev is going to have a say. I don't think we don't really have an assistant GM or somebody else who's going to be sprinkling, you know, stuff in AB's ear, right? It's AB's call. So I think this is the way we'll do it. Once it gets to the Browns pick, you're going to be the one who will actually, you know, make the call to the draft board to say we're selecting them.
This is some pressure here.
You're going to be selecting the player. But I will be, but both you and I will be able to discuss it. But I won't be the one pulling the trigger on this draft. Maybe next week I'll be AB.
I like it.
And then you could you know try to, and we'll keep a running chart of who we've taken in the first 2 rounds, because I think this is going to evolve. I don't know if it's going to evolve every week, but I think this is going to evolve, and I think the draft simulator, the AI is going to evolve too as things happen. God knows. I mean, if Trevor Lawrence gets into God forbid, knock on wood, just gets into a bad accident and can no longer play football, guess what? Jacksonville might be pulling the trigger on a quarterback. So,
man, that was morbid.
Right. I was going to say, like, if Trevor Lawrence goes down in a plane crash, and I was like, oh, it's a little bit too on the nose. But you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying.
Things change.
To your point, Jameson has been going further down the board in the ones that I did today, but not too far down. Like and that's just the thing too. Like
it'd have to go to a team like Tampa, who's like, we don't need you right away, and we're getting a top 1 or 2 talent at 30.
But and the thing too about him is, I mean, you look at Cam Akers. Guy tore an Achilles. He was back in 5 weeks. I think he's playing this week, from what I understand. So an ACL, I mean, for all intent and purpose, he could be ready to go right after training camp. I would think.
And in this day and age with the medical stuff that we have, my only fear is it is a position that requires a lot of shiftiness. And I think for Jameson Williams, it's a risk, because I think his big selling point is he runs a 4.29.
The doctor did say, have no fear. He'll still have that speed. There's no question.
I think there's questions. Like, I think he could say no. What if he sits there and doesn't rehab well? What if he sits on the couch and eats potato chips for 3 months? I mean,
then he'd lose a lot of money.
Yeah. But it's not like they're going to be able to go out at in the combine and be like, how's the knee?
So essentially in 2 minutes, you've got Trevor Lawrence in a big one and Jameson eating Ruffles while he's supposed to be rehabbing.
I
I'm
think
taking
it is the
notes.
responsibility of Brownie Postgame in this mock draft to look at all variables and take them all into consideration. But I think that this is how it's going to play out. So let's go ahead and enter the draft. I have it on super slow speed. If it goes too slow and it's annoying, we'll but there's no like timer or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and enter now. Diddling, diddling, ding, ding.
Here we go.
On the clock, Jacksonville. Start. Well, we could force it. We could trade. Let's just go ahead.
Yeah, there is a trade too. But yeah,
let's
you can
go ahead and start the draft. Okay, they're picking. I can pause too. Okay, so we'll pause after every pick. I think Aiden Hutchinson
got owned in that Georgia game.
I know,
but it was the scheme as well, and you don't want to you don't want to crush a kid for one game. I still
they do it to quarterbacks.
Stud. Yeah, no, they do. I still think he's going to be a stud, and
I think it's going to be a lot of the combine is going to make the determination. If he can put Miles and numbers up like Miles, you're looking at a sure number one. Okay, resume. Okay, we got Detroit.
Detroit Lions on the clock.
They go with I can't pronounce this guy's last name. Kayvon Thibodeau. Another edge rusher, and I think those are the two guys. Those are the two guys, right? That they're trying. I think Jacksonville's going to have to determine who they want to go with.
Yes.
Right. So far, this mock has been kind of by the books. Is there anything in your mind that would say that either Jacksonville or Detroit wouldn't go edge to start this draft?
No, I think so. And I mean, you could look at Detroit and say, well, how invested are they in Jared Goff? Now,
honestly, let's go.
And I can't believe that I just set you up.
Let's go down that path.
After Kruzop just mentioned it, and I said, don't get him started. And then I did it.
Do we need to unpack a couple Goff scenarios before?
Oh my God. So anyway, we are not going into any trade scenarios for Jared Goff, but I do believe that and I'm going to make this quick. When why is their coach's name slipping my mind? Help me out, the tight end, Dan Campbell. When Dan Campbell took that gig and he had that initial press conference where he said he was going to break everybody's knees or whatever. Remember that?
Yeah, it was wild.
It was really wild. And I thought, what did they do? Like, this is going to be a nightmare. And what they did is they actually got a guy that is emotional and cares, but is also good. And they bought in and they played lights out football towards the end of the season. And Jared Goff played well too. So unless there's a guy like a Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral that they're like in total love with, that think that they could hand the keys to the franchise for the next 10 years. I think that they stay the course with Jared Goff. He's a good game manager. He can sling it when he needs to. And I think if you add an edge rusher to that defense, because they played well down the stretch as well, I think that's a good building block for them.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It's one of those. I mean, unfortunately, I think in this draft, it doesn't appear from like the first overall standpoint, like a consensus number one Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer type guy. Not that there ever is a sure thing, but I mean, I think Myles Garrett was pretty close to it, right when he comes down to it. And I don't think that there is one. I think those two guys that have been selected already are there. But I mean, for Detroit, they could be looking and going, we have Jared Goff. Why don't we try to pull the trigger on Matt Corral in the second or third round because he's got the knee that got blown out. At this point, they might have just walked into a scenario that they can play around with.
Do you remember and this is really a bad thing to get into after you just said playing around, but do you remember when they were when Goff was going through the draft process and they measured his hands and he had the really tiny hands? Do you remember that?
You know what? It's funny. Like I haven't thought about that in a long time, but I do remember vaguely
Yeah,
something coming up with that.
yeah, that was the knock on him. He had tiny little hands, and that was the thing with the wet balls and things of that nature. But that was a 40-second span where we'll just next draft pick.
Move on. Okay. Okay. Let's go with. I'm sure that Jared Goff. I've seen Jared Goff's girlfriend, and
His hands are good enough for her.
I mean, solid.
Yeah,
Solid. Okay, resuming draft. We've got
Texans on the clock.
they go with Kyle Hamilton, what some people are saying the best athlete in the draft. Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. That's an interesting pick.
Very solid. I mean, you need a difference maker on the other side.
He could be one of those guys.
And to be honest, I mean, that's another team. And I think that's the argument that's being made in terms of their head coach that everybody thought was a one and done. And I don't, did they fire him? I haven't watched closely. I don't know if they did or they didn't.
I don't think I don't know.
I don't either. If you guys know in the chat, let us know. But I don't think that they did. And
I don't think they did either.
And they were playing really well again down the stretch. The defense was playing well, and Davis Mills was playing well. Go figure. So, and that's a guy that they drafted last year. So,
yeah, I everybody's coming out there saying that the Texans are going to be in the quarterback, market come draft. Like you're right, Davis Mills is a young guy. That have you really seen his ceiling? I don't think you have yet. I don't think you have enough body of work to be able to make a determination.
Yeah.
Hell, we're going into year 5 with Baker, and like there are still people that are saying we haven't seen enough in terms of his body of work.
Yeah, I like Kyle Hamilton.
All right, AB, are you feeling the itch to try to possibly move up yet, or we're good at 13 right now? No, nothing strange now. Okay,
there's nobody right now that I would be clamoring for. Now, if we didn't go Greg Newsome last year, I might be thinking about pulling the trigger on Derek Stingley Jr. But since we are solid with the combo and Newsome, Denzel, and Greedy, and then I think MJ Stewart was a diamond in the rough. And I mean, kid can play, and not only can he play, but I mean, he gets stiff-armed and essentially embarrassed on that play, right? I mean, that would be the equivalent of being, posterized, I think is what they call it, right? When somebody dunks over your head, but man, he comes back the next play or 2 plays later, I can't remember what it was, and just lays the wood on somebody. And so I think had that not be the case, had been the case last year, I might be looking to move up for a Derek Stingley Jr. But right now, I'm okay where we're at.
So we have, just in terms of the selections that have been made, in terms of the big board, the first 2 are off, and they went 1 and 2. Kyle Hamilton is PFF's 4th ranked, and Evan Neal, the ginormous tackle, 6'7", 350 from Alabama, is the 3rd ranked player. So
and I have
expect
to tell
him
you,
coming off the board soon too.
Before you hit that resume draft,
yeah,
if I was a betting man, and I'm going to say it now and I'll lose, but if you asked me where Derek Stingley Jr. was going to go in this draft, it's here at 4.
So, but it would be interesting. It's who does the Jets have? Do they Becton?
Yes, at left tackle. Yep. That's why I think they're going to go with.
It wouldn't make sense for them to take Evan Neal unless they're going to put him at right tackle. And look at us. We've done that experiment, moving guys from one side to the other. And
I definitely think it's Stingley.
Okay, let's resume the draft and see if you're correct. Da-na-na-na. Evan Neal.
Wow, they went with the tackle. Go figure. I did. Which why would you go? Why would you go for a right tackle at 4 with? I don't think that if they wanted Evan Neal, I don't think that. Well, I mean, the Giants are right behind him. The Giants might be in business for
here's the
a
thing.
tackle as well.
Here's the thing. You know, if you can talk to Evan Neal going into this draft, if you're the Jets and you're going, Evan, how do you feel about possibly moving to right tackle? Or maybe they talk to Mekhi Becton and say, are you comfortable moving to the right side? Right. And they go, hey, you know, we have 2 studs now on the offensive line that can anchor this thing and give you, you know, pass protection, open up some holes possibly. You got young Giants.
I don't
think so either.
But. Yeah, I don't see it because I mean you got Becton on as your cornerstone out there. You can get a right tackle down. I mean the Jets have 2 picks in the first round, so you can get another if you want to tackle.
Who is the Jets' current? I got to look at the depth chart.
I mean, you've got Michael Carter, who's an excellent running back. He's coming on. You've got, like I said, Becton at left tackle, Zach Wilson. Obviously, you got Elijah Moore, who had a really nice. I have to tell you, it wouldn't surprise me, not at 4, but at the next pick for the Jets. If they went receiver, it wouldn't surprise me
at 10
for a compliment to
Well, I mean, their current right tackle is 8-year veteran Morgan Moses out of UVA. Played 17 games, started 16 of them. I don't know what his PFFs are, but he's a 30-year-old right tackle. Unless they think that this Evan Neal guy is going to massively upgrade them, I think you're right. I think they'd probably go with a Stingley or something else.
Yeah,
but I'm a little bit surprised by that pick. But they are the New York Football Jets, so who knows?
They are.
Moving on to the Giants' first pick.
And what a bizarre draft this year. 2 Jet picks, 2 Giant picks, and 3 Eagles picks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
3.
There's your Stingley Jr. pick.
Yeah, I figured he was coming off. So
who is just I mean he's as stud as you get. And I think the only thing that I would say for us is, I mean, how many LSU defenders are we going to get? And if we drafted Stingley Jr., I'm sure he would blow out something in his lower extremities that would cost him the year. So
what a talent, though.
Knock on wood for Derek.
Yeah.
All right. So no big surprises yet in this mock.
Quarterback's coming here. I'd have to believe Kenny Pickett goes off the board right now.
Should be interesting. I mean, I think in real life, it's in play here.
Yeah, it has to. I think, and then we don't know, but if somebody's in love with a quarterback, and this is actually a good spot to have this conversation. If somebody is in love, let's say we play through, we go to the combine, free agency plays its way through, and we'll use Kenny Pickett for an example, that he is the clear-cut number 1. Teams that's our guy. We need to go up and get him. I think that if that is the case, there's always the chance at 3, but I still think Houston likes Davis Mills. So the point I guess I'm making is I think that if you are a quarterback needy team and that who you want, I should say, and it is the number 1 guy on the board, you have to get above 6 in order to get that guy. And the other thing too, Mike, and you and I have talked about this. I mean, the Giants could fall in love with Kenny Pickett, right? Or Matt Corral. We don't know what the new GM and the new coach is going to be.
100%.
Yeah, what they're going to think of.
I mean, if I'm the Giants, right? New GM, new coach.
Yep.
You got to look at the body of work with Daniel Jones and go, do I want to hitch my wagon to a guy that I do or don't believe in? You have to make that determination. And to be honest, I think there's way more questions about Daniel Jones than there are even about Baker. Okay. And that's where you stand, because you look at the Giants and you go, you got 5 and 7.
Yep.
It's not like you just got 5 and you're like, you know what, the 5th pick is there, and we want to grab Stingley because he's going to be a potential Pro Bowler immediately, which I agree. I think I honestly think he's the best athlete. I think over Kyle Hamilton. From what the highlights I've seen, and I don't watch a lot of LSU football, but the highlights are insane. So, but who knows?
Yeah,
I think it's a good topic of discussion that you bring up, that the Giants have a new regime that is entering the building, and for what they were trying to build their team around with Saquon Barkley, Saquon has now turned from, a potential, his rookie year. I mean, he was the second coming of, you look at like Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, and OJ Simpson, you put them together, and it was what Saquon Barkley was looking that he was going to be. And he blows out his knee, and then he turns into a average, like slightly above average running back on a pitch count.
Yeah.
Who still finds the way to not see the field because he keeps getting injured with stuff. I think the Giants are going to move in a different direction versus building around a running back, and this could be where the quarterback comes. But let's see. We've got the Panthers. And they go with the edge rusher out of Purdue. I think Purdue has got actually a couple interesting kids this year coming out. But the edge rusher out of Purdue, who is the big board number 7.
Which he's a solid kid. I get it. I mean, you're almost in a pickle. I mean, really, if you're the Carolina Panthers, because I mean, they gave up a lot to get Sam Bradford, like stupid amount. And I don't know if you saw, there was a clip running on Twitter the other day of somebody asked him about that, and asked him, being Matt Rule. And I mean, his answer was just horrible. And he was like a deer in headlights when he was given it. And so I can't imagine them not going quarterback here. And I mean, who's starting for you next year? Sam Bradford, unless you get somebody in free agency or make a trade.
Sam Bradford.
I'm sorry. How did I get Sam Bradford?
Darnold. I was like, oh my God, they're bringing back Sam
Darnold.
Bradford.
My God, he probably need crutches. But,
I would be like
Sam Darnold.
They're definitely taking a quarterback.
Hey, at least it was a Sam.
You're right. You're right.
But yeah, I this will be interesting. We'll see how these mocks go as the weeks go on. But
let me ask you this: if you're the Panthers, would you rather have Sam Bradford or Jared Goff?
Sam Bradford from back in the day?
No, Sam Bradford like today.
Sam Bradford. I guess I'll have to go with Little Fingers McGee.
But you have to give up a pick. You got to give up one of your top 10s for Goff. So you're going with Bradford versus Goff and a pick?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Sam Darnold is still playing, and he's thrown to the wrong team. And that's the other thing too, because and I don't want to belabor this point, or we'll be on here till 11 o'clock at night. But like they've given Matt Rule an ultimatum and basically said, go get an offensive coordinator. And I don't know what offensive coordinator, worth his weight in salt is going to be like, yep, give me Sam Bradford. I'll take the job right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, actually, even at this pace, I don't even think we're going to get through 2 rounds.
No, I don't even think we're gonna barely get to 13.
We'll get to 13. Well, for this one, we'll get to 13. Maybe for the next time we'll go a little bit deep, because I think next time we'll be like, okay, yeah, these are the standard ones. Let's rip through it.
Yeah, this is fun so far.
All right, New York Giants are. Boop.
Is this Kenny Pickett?
Nope. They're going with the tackle out of North Carolina State.
So they're going to protect.
Yeah, sophomore
What's
out
his
of.
Name? Why can't I think of the Giants quarterback's name? I mean, that's how.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. who, of course, our quarterback couldn't keep his name out of his mouth, and that was just 1 ounce of drama that has followed us. But go on.
Yep. There you go. So grabbing the young sophomore out of NC State, 6'4", 320, the single most dominant run blocking tackle in the country as per PFF. And so if you're a team that needs to focus on that running game and your offensive line isn't good, it's not a terrible pick.
No, it's not.
But those are 2 good picks, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I think the issue, and it was a knock coming out of college, and I've had this conversation with my brother, and I had it when they first were drafted, and he was so excited about Saquon Barkley, and the knock on Saquon Barkley out of the gate was he couldn't run between the tackles, and that's what we've seen in his career. And I don't know at this point in his career if he can stay healthy enough, and if he has that swagger still that it even matters if you bolster that offensive line. Because if you look at the kid that played behind him, Booker, I mean, there wasn't really much of a drop off.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Those are 2 really good picks for the Giants. Both building block, expensive building block like type guys. But I mean, if you're gonna pay a game changing players, a tackle and a corner are good guys to pay.
If a quarterback doesn't go off the board at 9, I'm going to call BS on this mock draft.
All right, let's see. Do. And Charles Cross out of Mississippi State. We still have not seen a quarterback.
The quarterback has to go at pick 9. Has to. If the quarterback pick doesn't happen at pick 9, that means that Aaron Rodgers signed with the Broncos in free agency.
So that's true. So Charles Cross, the redshirted sophomore out of Mississippi State, and 6'5", 310. Again, probably going to be a really good pick. I mean, there's a lot of offensive linemen here in the that are rated really high by PFF. So, and
you see what I'm saying. So we're at pick 9, right?
No wide receiver.
Right around the corner, no wide receiver. You don't,
even if they all went 1, 2, like they would basically have to go wide receiver for us to not get somebody of need.
And you look and you go, if you go from our pick and work back up the board, the Vikings aren't taking a wide receiver. They've got Justin Jefferson, and even though Thielen's aging, I mean, that
he was still extremely productive.
There.
Yeah.
You got Terry McLaurin at Washington, and they have other needs.
I'd be shocked if they went wide receiver. They're probably going to go defense.
And then with the pick that we're on now, I do believe that is going to be a quarterback one way or the other. And
then the Jets.
I think the Jets are the only wild card that could go wide receiver, but I don't think they will. But
and here's the other thing too. At this point in our mock, there hasn't been any trades, and it doesn't mean there always will be.
Right.
It doesn't. I mean, you look at there are drafts where like it's just very vanilla, and there's other drafts that things go crazy. So in this one, so far there hasn't been any movement. But you're right. I think that if the quarterback doesn't go here, this is kind of a meh draft. But we'll see. Let's go. And Garrett Wilson comes off the board, wide receiver to the Denver Broncos.
The first mock draft I've done in days that a quarterback or a wide receiver comes off the board at 9. I don't believe it. I don't see any wide receiver going to the Broncos at pick 9. So I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. But
well, I mean, here it is. I mean, with Teddy, what happened to Teddy with the injury, and then Drew Lock, there's zero chance that the Broncos are bought into Drew Lock to the point where they're going to go, let's run it with him for a season. Number one,
no way. It's Aaron Rodgers, or they're drafting somebody.
Right. And now here's the point though. Because of this, if I'm the Broncos, and if they are going to go offense, and they are going to go offense hard, putting Garrett Wilson next to Jerry Jeudy and going out and getting a quarterback in the second or third round, or moving up back into the first to grab another quarterback. If you aren't in love with like Pickett, right? If you're not, then honestly, I don't hate it. But I think you need to address the quarterback position either in free agency or in the draft here. But again, can you see Jerry Jeudy and Garrett Wilson on the same team? That's kind of scary.
And man, you got Corey Sutton.
And you got Sutton. That might be arguably. I mean, you could make an argument that could be the best wide receiving core in the nation. Possibly, they're definitely up there. So I look at it like that. I think that they have to then like very clearly have you got to have the ability to get them the ball. Let's see the Jets. If the Jets draft quarterback, then this is a complete disaster. We could almost just say like, hey, Garrett Wilson goes to the Jets, and whoever goes, we'll switch it. Well, let's see what happens. Okay. Dean, linebacker out of Georgia, who is I
would have thought Lloyd would have went off the board before him.
He's not even in the top. Okay, I'm sorry. He is top 10. He is the 10th rated linebacker. So basically, I think all of the Linderbaum at the center out of Iowa is still there in the top 10 in terms of like guys.
Washington could be a quarterback.
Could be. Let's see. I think just to go to address this Jets pick, looking to see now in this pick, we've got a right tackle and a linebacker. I think if the Jets actually did this, I think the Jets fans would go insane.
I could tell you that because my one brother is a Jet fan, my other brother is a Giant fan, because as you know, my history, I lived in New York when I was a kid, and then we moved to Cleveland, and that's where I cut my teeth on the team and football, and by the time they were watching, my mom was a Giants fan, my dad stuck with the Jets from when he was a kid, and I was the Browns fan. But yes, my brother would, if this is what happened, he would probably throw all his stuff away and never talk football again. I can honestly tell you that, because he's expecting Stingley and or Hamilton, and there was another kid. He thinks that there's a chance they could go wide receiver as well, which I don't. It wouldn't be. I think there's a bad thing. I
think there's a possibility, because they have 2 picks. If they had 1, I'd say probably not.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw. I mean, Elijah Moore, to me, was a steal in the second round. I mean, he played really well this year, and if you pair him up with with an Olave or a Burks or a London or even Jameson, if you went that route and hope he's ready for preseason, or I'm sorry, for the season, I mean, there's nothing wrong with drafting your franchise guy last year and you gave him Elijah Moore, and now you're giving him even more, no pun intended.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, AB. Now you've got 1 wide receivers now off the board, and you've got Washington, Minnesota, and us. Now it's one thing. Somebody could jump ahead of us to trade for the Washington pick. Somebody could jump ahead of us for the Minnesota pick. Are you thinking that you are getting nervous that your guy could get taken from under us, or are you okay no matter what happens, even if it goes wide receiver, us? Do you want to try to make a move?
No, I'm good.
Okay. As me advising you from the John D. Podesta standpoint,
please do.
I think that just to move up, unless we got the inkling that somebody leaked that somebody's like Pittsburgh's on the move or something, or the Ravens are on the move, which I doubt. I think we're good. So I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right. Washington football team.
Kenny Pickett.
The Commanders go with Kenny Pickett.
There you go.
Okay. Let's break this down for a second. Do you think that Heineke is really at risk to be replaced, and do you think Kenny Pickett has a bigger upside and can make it immediate? Because I don't think Washington's necessarily in a position to compete for a Super Bowl next year, like the expectations are with us. Do you think this is a wise pick, or do you think Heineke is fine and they should have gone with, something else?
I mean, Heineke has been in the league for a while. He's solid. He's not. I don't think Heineke is a franchise guy that you're gonna build around for 10 years. I think he's a guy that can win and be a stopgap until you find that guy. So this pick doesn't really surprise me if it happened, especially if they like a guy and being able to get that guy at 11. I think it's a no-brainer. And I mean, you look at the backfield with Gibson, who was hurt, and that cost me against you. Actually, he had COVID. That's what it was for him. Just bad luck. And McKissick, and they even have Patterson, who stepped in for Gibson when Gibson was out, and so was McKissick, and he played really well. So their run game is solid. I think their offensive line is okay. They can run the ball and they can pass protect, and you got Terry McLaurin, and the tight end is nice, especially the one that I mean, they have two nice tight ends, but if I can't, his name's escaping my mind, but he's always injured, but he's really solid.
The tight end of Washington?
Yes.
Logan Thomas?
Yes, Logan Thomas. We'll see it. When he's healthy, he's spot on. And I think that
statistically had the best statistical quarterback year ever at Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
And I think from the defensive side of the ball, it was a lost year because they lost the kid from Ohio State early. I don't know why I can't think of his name either.
Chase Young.
And their defense still played well. So I don't think that, I mean, there's holes, don't get me wrong, but I think that if there's a guy, and in this case, in this mock, it was Kenny Pickett. I think if there's a guy in the draft that they like and think can be the franchise, I do not see them hesitating to pull the trigger, especially at 11.
Got it. Okay, well, let's see who the Vikings select. Okay, the Vikings took cornerback Washington, Trent McDuffie, who is, for all intents and purposes, drafted at 12, which is where he is on the big board. He's a sophomore, so he's a young kid, and for all intents and purposes, probably they could have gone Ahmad Gardner there too, but they ended up going Trent McDuffie. Okay, so we're on the clock. Super chat coming in from Larry Kirk right before as our countdown's happening. Not saying I'm for it, but is Cousins going to be available with his ties to Stefanski and Zimmer being gone? We talked about this a little bit earlier, Larry. I think that I think that when we thought about the investment that it would take to get a guy who's in his last year of his deal, and to be honest, I don't think the Vikings would bring him back anyway. I think he'd probably test free agency. He's going to be 35 years old when he's done next year. And I think it makes more sense for us to run it back. Mike and I both think run it back with Baker. And then, if Baker doesn't step up and improve, then we have a free shot at Kirk Cousins. All we got to do is make a pitch and give him a lot of money versus, having to give up draft capital for him. So, I mean, stranger things have happened. There is, it could make a little bit of sense. He would definitely be an upgrade, but I don't think that, no worries, Larry. I don't think that they're probably going to do that. Okay, Mike, you,
well, let's talk through it. Andrew
Baristano is on the clock, and thinking about, first things first, it gives us our who's available, right?
Yep.
But I think for us, because we're thinking wide receiver. Let's just go ahead and filter down to wide receiver.
Yep. Perfect.
And then let's kind of talk about this, because before, again, you are the GM. You're making the pick, and I personally have some thoughts.
Let me hear it. We're in the war room, so
we're in the war room, right? And I think that and time has stopped, so we don't have 3 minutes. We've got as many minutes as we want in our vacuum. Now that if Garrett Wilson was still on the board, I think this would be a somewhat more difficult decision. With our current situation, I think there's a really good chance that Jarvis doesn't come back. Okay. I think we have to be looking at this, and I'm going to throw this variable in there for you that you have to chew on.
Okay.
We have not made the decision yet on Jarvis. I personally, as DePodesta, looking at it from a numbers perspective, think that at this point, based off of the, where he is in his age, where he is in production, could see it being not as valuable or not as financially sound to bring him back. So now you don't really, and Jarvis, for all intents and purposes, he wasn't a 1, he wasn't a 2, he was a 1B, right? And so we don't have a 1. And then I don't even know if you can necessarily call DPJ a 2. Okay? Maybe a 2. Okay? So we don't really have a 1 or a 2 at this point. A true, bona fide, rock solid 1 or 2.
Yep.
So you have to make a decision here. Now, looking at what we have available to us on the board, we got Drake London, we got Jamison Williams, we've got Treylon Burks, Dotson, and Olave. I don't know if we go all the way down to Bell.
So no, but so as we're sitting in the war room, right? And I'm looking at these guys, right? For me personally, if Jamison Williams did not blow out his knee on Monday night, you are making the call and you're calling it in right now.
Jamison Williams, 6'2", 189. He runs a 4.29, which what did Austin Schwartz 40 time? Austin Schwartz, who was the Alabama Pro Day superstar, ran a 4.27, and people were
hands of stone.
Hands of stone, small stature. He had one of the metrics that you'd be looking at for a wide receiver. Jamison Williams has excellent size and basically ran the same speed.
Yeah.
And way more productive in college.
So
but he blew out his knee.
Yep. So with that being said, right? So he was my guy that we would have ran the card in. Now, so sitting here at 13, right? I could live with, right, one of 3 being Olave, Burks, or London. If I were to pick right now, believe it or not, I would probably go with Treylon Burks. I like his size. I like his speed. However, I would not be opposed because I do not think that the Ravens take a wide receiver at 14.
Okay.
I think
we'll see.
Eagles,
we'll take the draft. I think we take the draft to 20. We'll go and see what Pittsburgh takes.
So I think the Eagles would take a receiver with one of those picks, right? So I would not be opposed to trading down to 17 if the Chargers wanted to make a deal, because the Chargers I don't think are going to go with a wide receiver. So I would gamble.
Okay.
I would trade down to 17 to see if I could still get one of my guys because I'm upset that Williams is off the board. I could go Burks here, but I would be
So
okay
if we're going to trade
gambling.
down, what are we getting? We're getting 17 and what?
What do they give you a simulation of what they would give us?
I don't have that. We could offer stuff. I mean, I think
if we went from 13 to 17, I want obviously their first round pick, and I want their first pick in the second round, or their
49.
Yeah, I want 49
for 13.
Yep, 17, 49 for 13.
Let's make the call. As Depot, I agree with you that I think that it's there. However, my guy, and the only thing that there is question marks here as well. My guy in the draft is Drake London.
See, my problem with Drake London is he was a 4.48 pre-ankle injury. So I know we were talking earlier and you were a little worried about, Williams 40 time coming back. Is it still going to be that sub 4.3? I should say sub 4.25. So I don't know. I like the fact that he's a big kid.
Yep.
I don't like the fact that he had a season-ending ankle injury, and I don't like the fact that he was starting out at a 4.48, which can be inflated. We know how the clock hand is kind of delayed or fast, I guess you would say. When it's being timed at your own place. So, that 4.48 could very well be a 4.5 at the combine.
Hey,
so
Larry Fitzgerald ran a 4.63.
Now Larry was a I mean, he
was different.
He was like an artist. I'm trying to find the word.
He was different, but I'm saying like I think if you're looking at these guys, the only guy who is the for sure blazing speed beast that's the reliable top 15 guy is Jameson Williams. He's there.
I'm running the card in if James is still there.
All right, so Jameson with the injury or without it?
If he didn't have the injury, I'm running the card up right now at 13.
All right, so I'm with you on this. I will trust your judgment.
Well, let's put it this way. If I'm comfortable with either of the ones we talked about, if you're comfortable with Drake London, I could promise you that he's probably going to be there at 17. If anybody goes off the board coming up, I think it would be me gambling on Burks and Olave, but we'll see.
So we're gonna offer 13 for 17 and 49.
Yep.
All right, offer the trade. Boom. They accepted it. Now the Chargers have moved up.
Here we go.
And let's okay. Now you picked up a pick in the second round, which is amazing.
If we early in the second, so I mean, you can. Who knows? Jameson Williams can sneak down.
Can I save this draft and come back? Because I'm loving this.
I think you could screenshot it at the end, maybe.
Well, because I want to be.
You're loving it until it goes.
Well, now we have two picks. Now we got 2 picks in the second round.
I know.
Now we've got 45 and 49. I mean, so you just picked up a lot of capital here.
I mean, I'm wheeling and dealing in the war room here.
All right, I love it. I mean, it makes me think that maybe you could have snaked like a 4th and 23.
Yeah, we might have been able to.
All right, so let's see who they end up picking. Do they take one of the wide receivers? And just
here we go, Russian roulette time.
Here we go. They take the cornerback out of Cincinnati.
There you go.
Okay, so this is again. He was the 13th guy on PFF's board.
Andrew Baristano won.
Yes, I would say so far so good.
0.
Now, crazy things could happen here. We could lose.
They could. I don't think
Philadelphia's gonna. I don't think Philadelphia's gonna draft another. They're gonna go back to back with wide receivers.
I think they may take one with one of those two picks. I do.
All right, let's see what the Ratbirds take.
They'll take your guy, I'm sure.
Matt Corral. Holy
Wow. I got to tell you, though,
holy
that's
crap.
that's not the first time I've seen that happen in a mock draft, by the way.
That is wild that
So
they
right
would
now,
move off of the MVP.
So right now, there is no way that the Eagles take a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers here, right? So right now, I am like the darling of the ball. Just want to throw that out there.
Unless somebody comes up and
we'll
and makes a trade with them. I don't think we can do that here.
Yeah, we'll see.
But let's go ahead or do you want to move up? Do you want to move back up?
No, you know what? I might be contemplating moving down again. So let's continue.
All right, here we go. Brown, we got Mike Pettin, Mike Raston Pettin over there. Okay, so they took the center out of Iowa. Okay, yeah. I actually thought
Kelsey's getting older.
He had to be coming off the board soon. He's this 6th overall guy off the board. Going 15 is a lot of value there.
Yep.
And then we got some other stuff. Let's see if Drake London goes here, I'd be a little bit disappointed, but I guess we'll see. Do they double dip or not? And they took the cornerback out of. Oh no! What happened? Oh no! What?
Wait, what?
What happened? How do I go back?
Oh, good Lord. What have you done?
What happened? We took an Ed. Oh my God.
How did that, what just happened?
I don't know. We were doing to resume and then we're pausing and then it just drafted.
I have just created a masterpiece and
I fudged it up. Okay.
Can you go back?
I don't think you can.
Can't you undo? Oh, for the love of the Lord.
This is not possible. I don't think you can. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through this, and we're gonna go up, and we're gonna see if we can do it again. So let's just hope that it's very similar.
Oh my goodness.
I screwed it up. I'm so sorry. It's so far so good. Same. I mean, this is the same AI, so they took the edge. They took a tackle. That's not that is the same. They took a tackle. They took Garrett Wilson. They took the linebacker from Georgia. Everybody's losing their mind. They took Pickett.
All right.
And they take corner. So it is the same. So now we're gonna trade.
So far, so good.
We're gonna trade for
until one of the receivers goes off.
With the Chargers.
Kenny Pickett should go. There you go.
We're gonna go boom for boom. And do you want to try to get a?
You know what?
Should we throw it in there? You get a little greedy.
You know what? I'll tell you what. 17, 49, and 158 is probably more realistic.
It says this trade won't be granted. Force this trade.
If you force it. It said that with the other trade too.
Okay. Do you want me to
try 1749 and 195?
Okay.
See 195 at that. Did you do 195?
They accepted it.
Oh, I'm I'm watching you move on the actual screen with the chat.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you doing? But
hey, you ended up picking. So that's my gift to you. We ended up getting a pick. What, in the 4th round or something?
Yeah.
We got another, which we're not even gonna do in this draft. So in this crazy timeline, we do. Okay, let me resume the draft, and we'll do anything
crazy.
Okay.
All right.
Cornerback, resume. Matt Corral
went to
Lindenbaum,
right?
And then boom, and then it is exactly the same. We ended up just picking up another pick. Okay,
right, so now you look, and
Now, so far, you've just pulled off a masterful trade because you are now in a position to still get a player of your choice at the position of need, and you picked up 2 other picks.
Man, do I gamble again?
Wide
I
receiver.
definitely think 19's a receiver. 20 is probably a receiver. Could be a
Now
receiver
you've done other
because-
mocks, so you know that the risk is there, right?
Yeah, and I mean the Steelers are probably going to lose Juju, so I mean if one of these guys is on the board, they could definitely take a flyer.
Who are you leaning towards right now?
Treylon Burks. I like the size. I like the speed. I can't. I can't get on board.
Let's talk about this because Treylon Burks is 225, so he is heavier by 15 pounds than Drake. He is 2 inches shorter than Drake London.
And look at the 40.
He runs a 4.45 versus Drake London runs a 4.48. I mean, that is, and when it comes down to like, I think 2 inches. 2 inches is probably a bigger deal than 3/100ths, right, of a second in a 40 time. However, I would also like to see some of the other, like I'd like to see some of the other drills. Like I want to see how high he jumps. I want to see that kind of stuff.
I probably at this point, because I don't want to get burned.
I think you could get if you're really looking for Treylon Burks, I think you could trade back.
Yeah, but you know what? I've been thinking about it, and I think I might want to bring the local kid home.
We're gonna go with Treylon.
Nope, the local kid.
Olave.
Yeah, every time I go through
6'1", 195, runs a 4.41, so faster than the other guys, but shorter. And he's definitely like from a weight perspective, he's sub 200. He's 189. Drake London's 210, and Treylon Burks is 225. But if you're gonna, I could see us going Olave. The two Ohio State wide receivers are the first two wide receivers off the board. I could see that being, and I could see Olave turning out to be better than Garrett Wilson.
I like I said earlier, Garrett Wilson's more of a slot guy. Olave is a great route runner, great hands, smart, and he's got some speed to him. I thought he was faster than that time.
Well, as from NFLDraftBuzz.com, they have him timed at 4.41. What did you have, Matt?
I had him in the 4.3.
Let me Google
4.38.
Chris Olave.
It's all over the place.
4.38.
I see 4.38. I see 4.5. So I mean, it's unless you are, Jameson Williams, burning rubber.
What do you? I mean, this is it. This is the guy that Baker's going to be throwing to. That is going to be essentially a replacement for Jarvis. You're going to win over the fans with Chris Olave.
You are.
I could be talked into that.
From
a marketing perspective.
We would have lost the draft pick by now.
I could be talked into it from a marketing perspective. I think he's got some embedded jersey sales that are coming along with it. If I'm Moneyball, Depot.
There's something about his game that I really like. I think
Larry Kirk coming in with a super chat. For the love of God, pick.
Take a lot. We'll take Chris Olave. We'll bring him home.
All right, we're bringing home Chris Olave. Saints take Utah linebacker. Oh, there we go. Let's hold on. Let's pause for a second. Drake London, you were right, Mike. If we would have moved back to 20 or 21, Drake London's gone. So maybe the Eagles were interested in Olave at 17.
Yeah.
And we ended up picking up another pick. All right, so
let's simulate this thing, because I'm going to go on a limb.
Oh wait, hold on. Pittsburgh went and drafted Sam Howell. So Pittsburgh ended up getting their replacement for Ben Roethlisberger, for so to speak. I think if we picked Chris Olave, I think the fans back in Cleveland are very happy with you right now, and you're getting a steak dinner tonight.
Wait till I come back at 41 or 45 and take one of the other guys that's still going to be on the board. Let's let this thing run a little
continue.
bit. 9:28. Let's do another 10 minutes.
I mean, this is it's only 2 hours. We've gone pretty far. There's Jameson Williams is going to be with Tua and Devontae Parker and the team down there in Miami, whatever the hell they're doing in Miami.
Yeah.
Of course they would draft a kid with a blown out ACL and with pick 22 after firing Brian Flores. Edge rusher goes to New England. I think that's a smart pick. Continue on. Okay, Kenyon Green, guard. Clemson takes a corner. The Bengals take an edge rusher. Offensive line, the Bills. Wide receiver. Okay, there's Treylon. So this Treylon Burks is gone. So now, in terms of the top, the consensus top 5 are all gone. The consensus top 5
too. I like Dotson a lot too. He's still out there.
Dotson is out there. He's a smaller, speedy, could be like a slot guy. Let's keep going. Now, do you want to try to move up? You want to try to move back in and use some of those picks that you got, or
no? Well, let's wait till we get into the second.
All right, there we go. Resuming draft. Edge rusher goes to Dallas, making that defense better. Corner goes to Kansas City. Tampa takes a safety. There's Dotson. So to round out the first round, Dotson's gone, and an edge rusher goes out of South Carolina, goes to Green Bay, who won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Now we're into the second round. The wide receivers, I can't look at who's on the board here, but wide receivers that I'm looking at in terms of the NFL draft buzz are John Mechie, the other wide receiver out of Alabama, who runs a 4.3 even. So 6 foot, 195, runs a 4.3. If you wanted to double dip. You also have Sky Moore, runs a 4.24. Little guy is a 5'10", 195 guy. Those are the kind of the speed demons that are left, but we'll continue on.
Yeah, let's let it play out.
All right, we've got Jacksonville is on the clock. What? Jacksonville comes in and takes a backup quarterback, or just maybe they don't have faith in Trevor Lawrence here. At pick 33. That would be, I think this would be craziness, and Jacksonville would set their team on fire if they did this. But
yeah,
with these mock drafts, let's say Desmond Ridder goes to the Lions here, and Jacksonville actually takes a tackle, and that makes perfect sense. Safety, edge rusher, 7 picks away. Carson Strong from Nevada goes to the Giants. Malik Willis goes to the Jets. It's another crazy one. Devontae Wyatt, edge rusher, goes to the Falcons. The Broncos take a corner. Seahawks take a defensive interior lineman. Washington takes a corner. The Vikings take a safety out of Georgia, and the Browns are back on the clock. We've got pick 45 and 49 coming up here to round it off. What are you thinking? Best overall? We've got an edge rusher out of Cincinnati that's on the board here. But what are you thinking? We still have John Mechie, the wide receiver out of Alabama there, who is, I think, if I go to wide receivers, is not even in their list here. So you'd have, I'm looking at two different lists. John Menchie's down here at 138. So per PFF, you could probably grab John Menchie down below Trey Turner, which would be interesting. I don't think Trey
Just
Turner.
out of curiosity, who's left quarterback wise? Malik and who else?
Malik's drafted.
Oh, he already got drafted?
Yeah, you've got Zappy, EJ Perry, Skylar Thompson, Jack Cohn, Caleb Ellaby, and the big dude out of Stanford. Are you interested?
No, I don't. I'm not interested.
Are you buying
in not one of those?
Got it. Okay, so in terms of
go to linebackers, who's on the board for linebackers?
If I can click, you've got Majai Sanders, Cameron Thomas, Zion Johnson, Darian Kennard. Anybody standing out to you? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, these are. Oh my God, how do I clear this out? There we go. Linebacker. That's it. Chad Muma, Channing Tyndall, Leo Chanel, Jack Sanborn would be the next guys.
Now, I could see here, depending on Conklin, which I think it's going to be a while. They could go tackle here.
Offensive tackle. Darian Kennard out of Kentucky is there.
And who's the edge?
The edge would be Sanders out of Cincinnati.
Go with that kid, and then we'll see if we can come back around and get Kennard at 49 and then call it a day.
All right, drafting. All right, Ravens take Cameron Sanders, the edge. Dolphins take a guard. Colts take Kennard.
Ha. So we couldn't sneak him by.
Nope. So
we got the edge, but we couldn't go to
I like Muma out of Wyoming. 6'3", 242.
What do we have left in the interior?
Interior line. Parham out of Memphis, Patterson out of Notre Dame. Hold on, these are interior offensive line or defensive?
Defense.
Okay, Travis Jones, Logan Hall, Mathis, Farrell Jr.
Let me see when it comes up on the X. It's blurry.
When it comes down to the ranking, Travis Jones is a 57 and we're picking 49.
That's interesting. Go to best available, just out of curiosity.
Best available is the tackle out of Minnesota at a 49.
Good value.
Pick him right there on the nose. And you also have Zion Nelson, the tackle out of Miami. And looking at from Draft Buzz, the Miami kid is 14th. And Falele is 13th. Dude, this kid. Okay, just to give you an idea, Daniel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Falele, he's 6'9", 380 pounds.
How? I haven't done any research on him. What is
9? Is Baker Mayfield going to be able to throw over a 6'9", 380-pound guy? But
that is the kid from Ohio State's down there too, and he got a little manhandled, but overall,
Thayer Mumford.
Yeah, he's right there.
Oh no, this is Nicholas Petit Ferrer.
Yeah.
Mumford, did he go already? I don't see him there, but okay.
I don't know. I'll let you pick this one so we can go to bed.
Well, Nicholas Petit Ferrier, 6'5", 315 is there. I'm taking, let me look best available. Edge, tackle, tight end. I think I'd probably lean more towards Muma to give us two solid young linebackers. I like the Channing Tindall guy too out of Georgia, but I'm going to take Muma just because he's plug and play. I think a tackle creates. Well, I don't know. We do need a tackle, but will this guy play right tackle, or do we have to move Jed back over to the right? You know what? Let's take him. Let's take the kid. 6'9", 380.
Yeah, put Baker on stilts. We'll be all right.
Boom, we got him.
And now we go to bed.
Boom, and that's it. And then they took. There's Nelson. Yeah. So, in terms of just a recap for anybody who's coming in late, Mike Rastanaberry took Chris Olave after dropping back once and then us resetting. And this is after we got the shocking news that the Ravens are going in the direction of Matt Corral, and as their future guy in waiting. Mike ended up taking Chris Olave at 17, and then comes back for Sanders, the edge rusher, assuming Clowney is not coming back now, or maybe just adding depth. And then we took a tackle there at 49. So I think this is a pretty good draft. I like it. Chat, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you like this or do you not like this draft in terms of what we got? I'd like to know. Tim says, I feel like a winner.
Thank you, Tim.
EM3000 says, good night. Thanks, guys. Is there a Wednesday?
There sure is.
There is a Wednesday show next week. Yeah, we decided to make the commitment throughout the off season. Absolutely. Sure seems okay, says Wolfsan. Ryan Brown, Xander both like it. Ray says A-.
Take an A-. Thank you, Ray.
It's Mike's first draft. Trade Olave. Tim says, let's go ahead and move him already before he even takes a snap. Ryan Burlow's smiley face, assuming he's happy about us coming back next week. Just hope Baker can see over the 6'9" guy.
Probably not.
Nice.
We're gonna have to put him in ballet slippers.
Right.
with the heel, he's probably 7'1".
All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out in there. Mike, if you could take down these numbers, write them down somewhere, wherever you write, whatever pad you write on, if you could write that stuff down.
What am I writing?
We took Olave at 17.
Olave 17.
Sanders at 45. And then with the new pick, we took at 49, Daniel Falele.
How do I spell that?
Faallele. And that rounds out our first two rounds. Actually, let's see who Pittsburgh takes. Just out of curiosity. Pittsburgh took a tight end at a Texas A&M. Okay,
which is never going to happen. You know, and I thought about that, but
in the second round, could they take a tight end? Maybe.
I'd love the kid from Georgia, but.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Chubba Wubba Hub says 20. He loves it as well. Sanders says we can't forget about the picks we're giving up for Jared Goff next time.
Oh my God!
Hey, I will now take the reins. I take the draft hat back, and I now control the board.
Yes, you do. I'm just a consigliere.
Right.
That's all I am. I'm not the trigger man.
Exactly. So this one's on Mike, and Mike gets all thumbs up and an A-. So, and Tim says,
you
have
yes. Some shoes to fill next week, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, Jared Goff might be in play. Let's just say that. I like his size. I like his experience in the league. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. We'll do another mock draft next week.
Already looking forward to Wednesday.
Might not be as long because who knows? I mean, I think we analyzed the first 13 picks like really closely because it's the first time we did it. But I think we'll have some more fun next week as well. Thank you guys all for being here, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Go Browns.
Go Brownie.